We're now looking at the Michael Strychnine sink, and this is where I'll be washing a bunch of the parts here. So I don't like to use some of the harsh chemical stuff on guitar parts because you never know the quality of the metal that you're dealing with here and the finish on it. So yeah, I try to avoid using that stuff. Just I don't want the finish to peel off of these things. So I actually just use some good old Formula 409 here. And I just put it down and give it a few spritzes. Let it sit for a little bit. Then after a few minutes of sitting here, I'll maybe give it a few more squirts there. And then I just use a scrubber or sometimes a toothbrush works good. And I go very, very lightly, because I definitely don't want to scratch anything up. I'll go lightly on the shiny surfaces. Underneath here it's a little rougher, so I really want to get into the corners really good. That's the main purpose for using the scrubber here. I'm hardly putting any pressure at all on this thing. And then you want to make sure that you're not doing this in some dank, moldy basement. You definitely want to do this in a nice dry environment, because you're actually going to wash this off with water, and you definitely don't want that to just sit in there and cause rust and corrosion. You want that stuff to evaporate as quickly as possible. Here's actually some paint from when someone tried to repaint that guitar. There's still a little bit they got on the tremolo here. That's just coming right off with my fingernail though, so that's good. Yeah, it looks good. All that dirt and grime came off pretty easily here. So yeah, I just set this on I fold up a paper towel or something and set it on that off to the side and let it dry. Sometimes I'll even put a fan on it. So I do want to keep the saddles in order by string, because if you look deep inside here, each gauge of string has sort of work hardened itself into each saddle here. So you can see the wear marks. Oh, let's get this to get in focus here. Yeah, you can see the wear marks down in there. So it's yeah, you don't want to be putting the high E into the low E saddle, because it's not gonna, it's the little divot that'll be worn out from the heavier gauge string. You know, you try to put the thinner gauge string in there, it's not gonna clamp down right with the block in there, and the string ain't gonna sit right. So it's important to keep the saddles in order. So I've just got them here on my countertop. I'm going to give them a little bit of spray of 409 here. Let that stuff sink in for a little bit, do its thing. And then I'm going to scrub down each saddle individually with a toothbrush. So I did notice some rust and corrosion on some of the screws And so I have decided that I'm going to dump all those into the pan here and spray it with some PB Blaster here. I've used this before on metal parts that were getting rusty, and this just seems to eat right through the rust and seems to make it like new. I also noticed, I may have mentioned this earlier, but a couple of these here, I'll let this focus. One of them here, this one was on the low E. You can see it's almost like cross-threaded or something. Someone started to thread this the wrong way. I don't know. I'll take a look at it on reassembly. So yeah, what I do is I just put all the parts into a little tin pan here and spray it down. See, you got to shake this. Nope, no shaking. I like to make sure that I like to tip it over and get it into a little spot like that. You also want to turn on a fan and open a window or something when using this stuff, because the fumes of this are pretty nasty. So I'm just going to let it sit there for, I don't know, a couple hours. Let it eat through the rust, and then we'll check back in. Alright, so our saddles have been sitting for a while, soaking in the 409. So let's take care of them here. Now the dirt and grime tends to get into the real crevices of these things, so that's why I like to use a toothbrush on them. Just, you know, getting into the nooks and crannies here. You're mainly going to find it here on the top. Mainly right in here is where you're going to find that the most. I try to get some different angles going on in there too. And rinse it off afterwards. Notice I have the strainer under here too. I'd hate to drop one of these and have it fall down the sink. And again, I'm making sure to keep these in order as I'm shifting them from the 409 pile to the pile to dry. Alright, and now I'm going to let everything dry for a long time, at least a couple hours here, and then we'll throw it all back together. Alright, so these here have been sitting in the tin pan here for about 45 minutes or so. Just going to dump it over this strainer here. And these should dry on their own. Looking at it here to make sure all the rust is gone, and it certainly looks like it. Certainly looks good. Some of the washers had fallen off in the process. I just put them on the little paper towel. They looked good. They didn't have any rust or corrosion on them, so I just put those off to the side. The little washers that go around the saddle screws is what I mean. So yeah, I've just got a little folded up piece of paper towel off to the side here. See some of the other stuff on there. This is from another project here. Oh. can see the spray coming off of these and soaking into the towel there. I'm going to wash down the rest of it here in the sink just so smell goes away. I'm going to turn the fan on as well. Again, this is good to do in a well ventilated area.